Honored coach of the USSR Tatyana Tarasova told Match TV that Sofia Dzepka's gold at the ISU Junior Grand Prix has given Russian figure skating a new lease on life. Sofia is a great skater, a smart girl. We showed ourselves and knew it was very interesting to watch her performance. I congratulate her on this gold. First of all, I'm glad I saw her on the ice. I didn't even think about Dzepka's competitors. Tarasova told Match TV. Olympic silver medalist, choreographer, and director Ilya Averbuk. I want to congratulate Sofia on this success. It's very important, because this is our girl's first international competition. I'm doubly pleased that Sofia and I worked together this year. I choreographed her free skate, and she nailed it. The feedback is fantastic. Sofia is a very talented girl with enormous potential, very artistic, and definitely a gem at any performance. I'm happy for her and her coach. It's a great start, said Averbuk. Irina Kosteleva, mother of figure skater Elena Kosteleva, commented on Sofia Dzepka's victory at the Junior Grand Prix in Xi'an. Dzepka did well. She won, and I had no doubt she'd be first. The team was very weak, but the green squares and the blank printout really surprised and unsettled me. This shows me how right I was back at the end of March. There were so many irritations on the triples. The program is a hit and run program. There isn't one at all. That's my opinion. It's personal. I don't hear the howling on websites about the lack of skating and gliding, and about the softness and flexibility of the method used with Lena. In short, hit and run between jumps. I expected much more. And what if the Ultra C is 5? I could barely crawl as it is, Kosteleva wrote. Russian junior figure skaters are making a triumphant return to international competitions. Following the ice dancers, Sofia Dzepka also won the Grand Prix in Xi'an. Although she almost didn't appear in China at all, Elena Kosteleva was entered. Why did this change work in favor of Russian figure skating? Let's discuss. Dzepka's advantage over Sofia Fedchenko's Chinese team is impressive, more than 23 points. In the total of their programs, the Russian figure skater was the clear favorite of the event and lived up to the hype, while Irina Kosteleva is trying to figure out yet again who's to blame for her daughter's injuries. Sofia is winning over foreign fans and gaining respect from the judges, but Elena Kosteleva's forced replacement likely benefited all of Russian figure skating. Yes, it would have been interesting to see Elena perform 5 Ultra C jumps in her free program, something that hasn't been seen internationally since Alexandra Trusova. But does World Figure Skating want this rush for jumps? The International Skating Union ISU makes no secret of its preference for clean skates, with easier content than constant risk and missed jumps. Therefore, it is reducing the number of jumps and introducing choreographic elements. Whether this is in keeping with the spirit of the sport is a separate question, and it's largely rhetorical, as figure skaters have no other rules than those established by the ISU. If the union is going down this path, they must comply. So, Sofia Dzepka is a perfect choice to represent Russian figure skating. Emerging from behind the Iron Curtain, already at her first international competition, she demonstrated that she can be different. She can draw ballet lines in a red short dress, and then the next day appear in a black jumpsuit, like Trinity from The Matrix, combining complexity and component skills. Sofia, the only participant in the competition to attempt an Ultra C jump, cleanly executed a quadruple toe loop. She didn't take any risks, maintaining a balance in practice. She jumped a quadruple toe loop and a combination jump, but in the performance, she didn't even think of adding a second quadruple. But this didn't distract from the music and the programs. Dzepka received the best component scores, and in both programs. Only her step sequence in the short program was given a lower score. Hearing the music. This is a distinct advantage for Sofia compared to the skater she replaced in China. The penalty for rolling is already Kosteleva's calling card, as is throwing her arms out before difficult jumps. In Dzepka's case, the audience saw to programs with clear images and thoughtful skating. The skater knows how to concentrate. Dzepka was always focused before the start of her program, and then rejoiced in the final pose. One might argue that this is always the case after a successful performance. But in fact, Sofia learned she would be competing in China just a week before the start, so she had to concentrate not just on a few performances, but on the entire tournament. And all this was accompanied by the Russian press, which was counting down the thousands of days without international competitions, increasing tension and completely forgetting about the 2026 games and the qualifying rounds, where Russian athletes were already returning. Perhaps Dzepka isn't Russia's best junior, And complexity plus component skills aren't a unique combination in figure skating. But it's a successful and very timely one at this moment. Russian women's skating has returned in a different form than it was remembered for at the last two Olympics. Trusova's tears, Valiyeva's despair, Petrosian's disappointment. It has returned in the form of the balanced and refined Dzepka. And so far, the world is delighted. While her competitors made mistakes, Sofia Dzepka created beauty on the ice. The return of Russian figure skaters to the international arena is truly spectacular. First, Maria Fefilova and Artem Valov won gold at the ISU Junior Grand Prix, and the pair's success was followed by victory in the singles. Russian figure skater Sofia Dzepka simply crushed all her rivals on Chinese ice. A supremely confident victory for the Russian athlete. On August 21st, the ISU Junior Grand Prix in Xi'an, China, determined the top women's singles figure skating contenders. After the short program, Russia's Sofia Dzepka led with 70.74 points. Her closest pursuer was Karen Miyazaki of Japan 67.21, and local athlete Li Yuxuan 66.72 rounded out the top three. In the free skate, the early warm-up skaters predictably struggled to compete with the top skaters. Only the penultimate 6 skaters found a real medal contender. Jin Shuxin, one of Sofia Fedchenko's Chinese skaters, scored 188.80 points. To reach the podium, she needed her competitors to slip up. And they certainly made a lot of mistakes. South Korea's Jang Yeol-hwan skated consistently up until the second half, but by the second half she began making mistakes and falling, ending her free skate with a nosebleed and extremely low scores, finishing in 9th place. Japan's Koruka Wada lost significant points after her first combination, was unable to recover, and finished the competition in 8th place. Only another Chinese skater was able to overtake the interim leader. Liu Yuxuan executed almost everything she planned, except for her triple Lutz. She scored 189.57 points and secured a podium place. But which one? It turned out to be the latter, as Japanese Karen Miyazaki screwed up just about everything that could be screwed up. In her free skate, the 13-year-old skater kept a smile on her face, but her 6th place finish was hardly a happy one. Sofia Dzepka didn't have to overcompensate. After so many failures from her rivals, she simply needed to skate her own program without any major flaws. She didn't limit herself to a bare minimum, but rather performed a true miracle on the ice, squeezing the maximum out of the available content. The Russian's matrix look suited her, but more importantly, she skated well. She immediately mastered the quadruple toe loop, arguably the most difficult part of the program. She added a triple flip and toe loop combination, then executed a solo triple flip. A long combination of triple Lutz and Sauchow, as well as a double axel, was executed. The triple Lutz and triple loop were also in place. Even if they tried, the judges couldn't find fault with anything. The Russian was so good on the ice. Until it came to the scores, Sonia rejoiced along with the spectators, who were delighted and simply pelted her with toys. And then she went to hear the verdict. 140.54 points for the free skate, 213.28 overall. It was a clear victory. The Russian skater simply didn't notice her rivals. Russian figure skater Sofia Dzepka commented on her victory at the Junior Grand Prix in Xi'an. Tell us about your emotions from the victory. I want to say that the crowd was amazing. They supported me very warmly. I don't think I've ever been supported as warmly as I was here. Honestly, there's a lot of room for improvement in the free skate. There's room for technical growth and improvement. There are some nuances that weren't to our liking. Now we understand what needs to be improved. You say that as if you're not happy. No, I'm very glad I didn't wipe the ice. Haha. I performed well for my first competition of the season, but some elements were pulled off by sheer force of will. What didn't you like? The first cascade. And the second, to be honest, too. What do you attribute that to? I'd say it's because it's the beginning of the season, said Dzepka. Foreigners couldn't pronounce your last name correctly. Dzepka, Dzepka. Didn't that bother you? Actually, many people in our country, that is, Russian speakers, mangle my last name. They can't pronounce it or write it. Firstly, I think it's normal. It's a human factor. My last name isn't standard. And secondly, I've gotten used to it. Of course, I'd like them to pronounce it correctly, but overall, it's normal, the athlete added. Tell me about the quadruple toe loop, please. How did you decide to try it? Judging by how the competition went, you would have been fine with an easier set. We were originally planning on a toe loop. I practiced it, and overall, It went well enough in practice to try it at competitions. We didn't even consider skipping the quad, but we also didn't consider to toe loops. That's enough for the start of the season. But in practice, you tried a lot of quad toe loops in combination with a double toe loop, and it was consistent. It's actually pretty easy to add a double toe loop to a jump that works. The other thing is, the second quad still needs some work, but I'm happy with the toe loop. It just so happened that I had little time to warm up right before the free skate. I usually have time to do more jumps, but today I only tried the toe loop once. And to triple jumps, I usually have time to try 2 or 3 Ultra C jumps while they're counting the scores for the previous athlete. But the fact that I only made it once and not very successfully made me wary. So, being the leader gave me confidence. No, I was simply confident in my abilities and in my physical fitness, Dzepka said. Dear viewers, did you enjoy Sofia's performance? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching.